Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Heather, the Sunflower Witch. I'm Heather, and what you just heard was my clarinet. As we can see here, I'm going to see if I back up a little bit. There we go, full clarinet. And that was what I was playing. I was simply just playing a scale. And what I wanted to do with this video was to actually talk about my journey with this, and to kind of do something fun, a little bit different, because what I'm going to be doing in the near future is I'll be adding some just excerpts of songs that you may or may not know, where I play them on clarinet and I add them to my TikTok, which I'll add a little thing up here on this side where the TikTok is, if you guys want to listen to those. But what I wanted to show with this is just kind of my journey with it, why I'm playing it, how did I get started with it, and all of these interesting questions you may have. Especially if you're interested in like, do I want to be in the band when I'm in school or further on in life and I want to learn an instrument? Why does someone want to do that too? So we're going to start, which I have this one Weasley here that is in the way. It is going to drive me crazy. There we go. So what I'm going to start is how I ended up with this, and kind of describe what the clarinet is, the different parts of it, and we're going to just kind of talk about my little journey. So why did I go into playing an instrument? Well, my mom, in her years, she actually was part of the band program in her school, she was a flutist, or flautist is what you would say. And she played the flute for all of her high school years and just kind of like a little bit in college, but not fully. And she had talked to me about marching band and how that all has become part, like where she learned a lot in her life, which if y'all are interested, I'll make another video on my journey in marching band, because I've been in both high school marching band and college marching band. So I have a little bit of a different stories with either of those. So it's interesting. But as a young kid, I kind of grew up with the idea of, okay, there's science in my life and then there's music. And when I grew up in that, I knew when I was going into middle school, I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to be a part of the band program. I want to do a musical instrument. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'm going to do a musical instrument. And at the time, it was literally just me, my mom, and my grandma. And my mom was a teacher, so she had a teacher salary, trying to do her classroom and raise a kid at the same time. And then also my grandmother, who on her own, she's retired. She didn't work. She kind of lived off of what she could with Social Security and all of that. So it was a bit limited, but I wanted to do music. And my mom and my grandma said, okay, we'll make it work. We're just going to make it work. So it came around in 5th grade for me, where it was like, they gave you like a survey. It was just like a flyer that basically said, are you interested in the music program or band program? Yes or no. If you are, what instruments below sound interesting for you to play? And you had to pick three instruments, and then at some sort of a different date, you would go in and audition for your instrument. So, of course, I said yes. And then when I was looking at the paper, I was like, okay, my top 3 instruments are a flute, because my mom played it. So let's see if I can play it. Flute. My second one was the French horn. And that was because I liked the sound of it and it was very pretty. So I was like, I like French horn. And then the third was trumpet, because I was like, why not? Like, trumpet's like very loud and you play like very loud music and stuff. Sure, why not? So I put it in. And a few days later come around and we go to our like audition center. And basically I go in and the guy is there. There's a guy there that has all these different instruments. And basically you went in, you had your form, and they would go, okay, let's start with the instruments that you picked. So we get to flute. And flute, I am barely making a noise. I am like, it sounds mostly air, not a whole lot of noise. So they were like, let's try the second instrument. We got a French horn. Again, a little bit of noise, a little bit of air, and then I can't even do it now, but you have to vibrate your lips together to get that to make that noise for the French horn, the trumpet, the trombone, basically your brass instruments. So they figured if this was not working on the French horn, as a trumpet player, probably not going to work either. And for me, the French horn was a little bit more open, so my lips could fit more into it and I could make more of a noise than I could on the trumpet. But either way, it was like, it's not going to work. So the guy goes, okay, hear me out. Let's try this. And he pulls out the clarinet, which this was not the clarinet at the time. This is actually this is my baby. But he goes, okay, let's try this. So he gives me the clarinet, and he actually starts with just the mouthpiece and the barrel, which is this. And that's what it kind of sounds like when you blew on it. And a lot of people didn't make that, like, if they were trying out for a clarinet and it didn't work, they didn't make that honk noise. And I did it, and it was like, bah! And it echoed in the room where my mom was like, okay, I think we know where your instrument is. So then he was like, all right, let me put it together. And he basically twisted it around where he could do the notes, basically do this while I played. And it was just like, he did that. And all of a sudden, I was making noise on an instrument. And like, I was just kind of like surprised that like this was coming out of like, I was making music out of this. So the guy goes, all right, let's do that. And the program they had was a rent to own program. And basically it was like, especially for people who just don't have a lot of funds going into it, you could take your instrument, basically audition, and then they would give you an instrument that you would basically make monthly fees on. And then as you pay it off, then it becomes your instrument. And then after a certain period of time, you can up step to the next version, which is what this would be. And so we did that. I continued playing. I played for all the years in middle school. And in middle school, we had paid off the first clarinet, which meant that I could up step it into this clarinet, which you could trade it in, and basically it would pay most of the balance on it, and then you would only have a few monthly other balances. And the upstep of the clarinet is the wood one. So there's a plastic one, but there's also wood, and that's what this is. Now, funny story, this is not my original wood clarinet. This is a replacement, and that will be a part of the marching band stories because it was not my fault of what happened, and so the school had to pay for it, not me. So the $5,000, it's like, when I had it, it was like, this was like $5,000. I think once we got to like the high school with all like, inflation and whatnot, it was close to like $7,500, $8,000 for the wood clarinet. So the story behind why this is not the first wood clarinet is a bit of a doozy, which we can talk about in the marching band. But I played all 3 years of middle school, and then I played all 4 years of high school, and then all 4 years of college, of undergrad. Then in grad school, I took a break, didn't play anything, went on to now, where I'm kind of playing it off and on. Right now, I'm doing like a municipal band where I live. There's another program that's coming up in the fall, which I may join that too, just to continue playing. So what that's going to be, so for me, that was kind of my journey of how I ended up with this. And why I ended up playing it was literally, I made a noise on it and it was like, oh, I can make a noise, I'm going to play it. Now, bless my mother's heart, but when I first started playing this instrument, I squawked and squeaked even while playing notes. I could still make some notes, but I was squawking and squeaking. And in my mind, it was like, oh, I'm being disruptive. I'm being, loud. I need to kind of be quiet. And honestly, that's probably, I had that trauma when it came to my grandmother and my biological father on that side, because that's kind of what they wanted, just a quiet, good Southern girl who just doesn't say a word and says yes to everything. And bless her little heart, she got to be doing that. That's how they were. And when I started squawking and squeaking, I felt bad. And my mom was literally like, that's part of the process. Like, the part of the process is you learning the instrument and not making a good noise out of it. Like, until you do make a good noise, it's gonna suck. Like, and she's like, you sure heard me when I played flute. Like, I was playing flute, but I was mostly playing air at sometimes, and your grandmother had to watch me play it. So that was my other grandmother is the one who ended up helping pay for all this and tried to work with me on these different things. So I was practicing for them. I was practicing for my stepdad. I was practicing for my grandmother, and or I should say my stepdad and my dad. All of them were listening to me play, squawking and squeaking, still trying to make some sort of noise out of it. And after the first year, my mom told me to give it a year. Give it a year of playing your instrument before you want to try and quit. And I think it was for me, it was like because there was a lot of squawks and squeaks, I felt like I wasn't getting, far with it. I felt like it was just not working for me. So I gave it a year, and I was finally getting to where what you just heard, playing some music without a whole lot of squawks or squeaks. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. So I go into 7th grade. 7th grade is when I got introduced to a jazz band, and that clarinets could join said jazz band. I joined and loved the music, and so I stuck with it. I stuck with my clarinet, did jazz band in middle school, I did jazz band in high school, and then I did marching band as well as pep band in high school, and marching band and pep band in high school, or not high school, undergrad. So that was kind of my journey, still continuing, even though in 6th grade I wanted to quit. In 6th grade I didn't want to play this anymore. I didn't see the reason to. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, is what you could probably call it. I wasn't seeing that. So I stuck with it and still playing it to this day. Like, I've gone abroad with this clarinet twice. I've done different things that I didn't think I would do, like playing at a museum with a municipal band. Like, to me, there's a lot of things that I did with this that I didn't realize that would come if I had quit back then. Now, the other question is, you're probably wondering, when you're a clarinet, do you get the joke that you're Squidward? Now, it's funny. In high school, or not high school, but middle school, it was annoying because that's kind of where even the people in the band were like, oh, look at our Squidwards up there. And it did get annoying. Once I got to high school and mostly into college, we kind of just took that as our own emblem and we just made it our own. I mean, with how our marching band was in undergrad, a little sneak peek, but we were complete goofballs but still had a lot of fun. And it almost did remind you of SpongeBob and his marching band thing. So we kind of just took it with pride at that point. And a lot of the pep crew, the cheerleaders, the football team, all of them really liked us in undergrad. Now, we did have the opposite effect in high school, but again, marching band stories, another video. But another thing is, why would you, you yourself who are watching, why would you pick up an instrument? And the question I think you should ask yourself is, why do you want to? Do you want to learn a new skill? Would it be something fun for you to do, to learn something brand new? Is it something because you didn't get a chance to do it when you were younger and you're older now, so why not? That could be the case. What about just if you're in school? Maybe you have children who are thinking about joining the band program. Why would they want to do that? Well, this could be something that is more of an outlook for them. It's a way for them to be able to play as well as they can and be able to put emotion and movement, and they get all of these things out, and you learn a bunch of lessons when you're in band and other parts of the band program. And for me, it was a lot of, you're coming into yourself, you're coming into who you are as a person and trying and learning to become confident in an instrument. Which in early high school and in middle school, I didn't have the confidence that I had on this. It was I was playing okay. I was playing okay. Once high school came around, though, I ended up getting lessons from different people, and they were teaching me how to become better on the instrument and how to enjoy it more. Not everybody has to do lessons, but there are different techniques and different things you can learn by doing an instrument. And whether you're playing trumpet or you're playing flute or you're playing little old clarinet, you're learning different techniques and you're also using both sides of the brain. A lot of people don't realize that when you're playing music and you're going through each of these, it might appear like, we're just playing an instrument and nothing else. But if we're looking at a piece of music, we're trying to read like, okay, like that's what this note is, that's what this note is, at this speed, at this volume. We're trying to read this while playing the instrument, while making sure we're still in tune or like in line with the conductor. You're doing different things all at once. So you're using the left side that's very creative and artistic because you're playing something that is so creative. And then turn around, you're trying to read and do math and be like, 1 and 2, 3. Okay, we're going at this speed. 1 and 2 and 3. Like, you're doing that sort of stuff on the right side. So you're using both things, which allows your brain to actually kind of expand and be able to learn more because you are teaching it. You're basically using the muscle in both brains, both sides. So that's another fun fact of the instrument, or playing an instrument. Now, the different parts of the clarinet, like I mentioned before, you have the mouthpiece and the barrel. And then this is the kind of middle section where all your keys are. And yes, each one of these, even the ones on this side or the ones down here, they each have this little button, that little button, this little button, that little button. Even the one back here, all have a note to go with it. And that's kind of crazy when you think about it, because you're thinking, okay, no. Wait, there's more notes here and here and here and here and here and back here. And especially if you hit this button back here, you get more notes with that these are not the same ones. So yeah, this is kind of your the mechanism. Your machine is right here. And then you have the bell, which is where the instrument comes out. Or the music, not the instrument. The music comes out. And so that's where you get you get that. Or if you, like I was mentioning earlier, if I play all the way here and I hit this button, that's where you see there's the difference of the notes. Now, what kind of music have I enjoyed playing on this? Funny enough, when it comes to marching band and pep band, but also classical music and jazz band, I've played anything from classical Beethoven and Mozart to Gene Kelly and, this jazz band, or then playing, we're playing Pomp and Circumstance for the graduation, and then we're going to turn over here and play All I Do Is Win, that song during a pep rally, because we're talking about, all we're going to do is win and beat all the people around us. And then we're going to turn around again and play something like Uma Thurman or, songs like that, So it's a variety. I've played a various different amount of music on this. My favorite, though, my top favorite is jazz. I love jazz music. I love playing it on the instrument. But there's actually kind of a caveat that comes with playing jazz on the clarinet. And that's what I want to kind of go into as well, as this kind of video is, why am I playing clarinet? And you're learning about different reasons why you're playing an instrument. Let me tell a story about jazz clarinets. Now, if you look up a jazz clarinetist, most of the people you're going to see when you come up is Benny Goodman. There's also kind of this older woman now in today's age. She lives in Louisiana. She is a wonderful jazz clarinetist. That's another person who could come up when you say, okay, jazz clarinet. Now, for me, middle school and high school, both teachers were like, well, duh, jazz clarinet, jazz music clarinet, it makes sense that they should be in there. But it can only be to a certain level, because we did have a top jazz band at our high school. But the reason why I couldn't join was because the colleges didn't basically associate clarinets with jazz. They were classical instruments. They only play classical music. They play pep music if they're on the pep team, but they're a classical instrument. They don't play jazz. And that's the mentality I had even in undergrad, where the idea was, and I was told as a clarinetist, no, you can't join jazz band because you're a clarinet. And I kept saying, well, there's jazz clarinetists. What about Benny Goodman? And they're like, well, they didn't exist. And I was like, have you done a Google search? They're literally right there. A lot of back and forth. I still didn't get to join because my undergrad was so stubborn about the idea that clarinets don't exist in jazz. They even played, so Benny Goodman has a very well-known song. It's called, it's not In the Mood, because I think that's Glenn Kelly. But Benny Goodman has also another song where he plays. Let me look right quick, because it is one of those, like, so I don't tell you the wrong thing. But for his whole thing, the very Sing Sing Sing, that's the one. He plays Sing Sing Sing, which is a great song if you want to look that up. But that particular song, they were playing in the jazz band at school, but they didn't put a clarinet into it. Because, again, clarinets don't exist, but this main song comes from a jazz clarinetist. Make it make sense. I'm just saying. So for me, I do want to say, like, if you're interested in playing clarinet, you have some good times, but you also have some points if you're like me and love jazz and you kind of have to fight for it. Now, the good thing about going in as I'm older, my municipal band that I was talking about earlier, they play any sorts of music, and everyone's allowed to play it. That includes jazz music. I've played a few jazz pieces now just simply because I was in the band. And I was like, yes, thank you. Thank you. And it's actually like clarinets actually have a melody. It's not like they're playing background doot doot notes. We actually have a melody. So it's been nice as that. And then you have like what I said earlier when I went abroad. I did study abroad with my clarinet, where I went to, I went to Spain, France, and Italy, where we played music of all of those different towns and played to audiences so they can learn the types of music that they could hear in Spain, Italy, and Barcelona. Or not Barcelona, France. We started in Barcelona. That's why it came into my head. But then a few years later, I went back to France for the D-Day celebration. That was the 85th, I think is when we went over there. It was like 85th or 90th anniversary of D-Day and from World War II. We actually got to go over there, play music for the families who were from people who were in D-Day. They even had the oldest member who was 98, I believe. That was his age. He was there, and he got to listen to us play for him. So it was a lot of exciting moments that I've got to play with this instrument. And if you were to ask me, Heather, would you still be playing your instrument to this day? If you asked me that in middle school, I would have probably looked at you like you were crazy. I would have been like, really? I don't think I play that instrument. Come on. Like, I don't know if I played it that long. Little did I know, I'm still playing it to this day, and I'm still having fun with the different music that I have played. So there's a lot of different things that come with an instrument. There are challenges. You can have different financial challenges for paying off an instrument. There's, personal challenges of giving yourself that oomph, the urge to practice, to get better at what you're doing and not let it just sit around. There's also the idea that you have more, I would say, outer issues that come, like I said, with the jazz clarinet part. But there's also, basically, for me, if you were in band, there was never a great light on being in band, especially in middle school. In middle school, you were kind of geeky, and you were made fun of for being in the band. Once I got to high school, where we were actually doing things for different programs, or in college where we were literally everywhere, you kind of had a bit more respect going forward. But there are those issues. And it takes a lot of different people to really just say, okay, I want to be a part of the band program in school. And it also takes the part of having family that also wants to be a part of it. Because a lot of the band programs, although the music and the art programs don't survive without the support from parents and the people that are a part of it. And that's kind of a sad thing to say. And that's kind of where I want to lead off on this, though, is the idea that if you are interested in band or you have a child who is interested in band, be a part of it. Just go into it. Have fun. Because a lot of these programs don't survive without the parents, the people that, and the students. Like, these are the people who will pay for those instruments, who will want to go to different concerts and to, try to become part of top bands in their state, to go abroad like I did, or to go with the marching band and travel with the football team while they go out of state to play. Like, there are a lot of different things that happen, but without the support of different programs, because most school programs, most state officials and federal officials don't see the reason to put money into art and music, especially when they don't bring money to them. That's honestly the mentality that most schools will have. You're not bringing money to me, so why should I give you money? And so a lot of programs will sink because they don't have that much support, that outside support, or the parental support, or the student support. If you have both of those, or if you have the outer and the student support, you'll see these programs survive and make some great music, some great art, some things that you can get put into the newspaper or be put on TV and get recognition for the school program. You might not hear thank you that much, but you do kind of get a little bit of help along the way, and it does get a little more respect into the band, to the music and art programs. That goes for choral, that goes for your art department, your ceramics. If they do jewelry, if you have an art program that does more than just painting or drawing, if they do ceramics, jewelry making, if they go into doing advanced classes at colleges, that still all matters. And so I want to end off on this video with why I picked clarinet is because it matters to me how much music is going in, but I also see how much music and art matters to other people, and how much music and art programs matter to the students who feel like they need somewhere to release what they feel, to express everything, because that music and that art allows them to just be them, to have fun, to meet people that they didn't expect to meet, and have the grand old time. That's really the biggest part of that. And so I just kind of want to end it off here as, if you are interested in learning an instrument, or if you have a child or yourself are interested in the band program, I say go for it. Have the urge and go for it. Learn an instrument, let it teach something about yourself. And when you're struggling with the first bit where you're trying to learn the instrument, it is not sounding good, take a deep breath, take a break, and come back. Don't give up. It really will. If you feel like you are enjoying it into your heart and your soul, if you're like me, where like you pick up an instrument and you just kind of like relax, keep going. Keep playing that instrument. Keep having fun. And who knows, you might end up playing clarinet just like me. So that's kind of the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next video. If you feel free, if you've liked this video, feel free to leave a like. If you have any questions about learning an instrument or just being a part of a band program, comment down below. I would love to answer any questions you've got, or if you have just comments, you're like, hey, I did that too, or hey, I feel that. Yeah, let's connect on that. And for those who are interested in the marching band, well, that'll be another video. That'll be something else, a little special video on that part. But I will see you guys in the next video. Feel free to subscribe and follow along. See ya.